Welcome back to the Garza Gaming Channel. Today we're going to discuss all the big changes that are coming with 9.5, right? But before we get into today's video, I want to say a big thank you to everybody that stuck with us yesterday through our stream when we actually did a watch party for the 9.5. Dude, our stream had so much drama going through, man. My ISP kept falling. I had to restart the stream like 15 freaking times until I finally just gave up on it, man. But I appreciate everybody's support, and hopefully I can get that fixed here shortly so our next stream will go a lot smoother. But hey, man, without any further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so here we go with a 9.5 update right now. This is a big update, so let's get started. So obviously you're going to get a lot of new of these Slipknot skins, right? Some kind of like gothic theme to the heavy metal band Slipknot. And the artwork on these skins seem to be pretty awesome, dude. I'll probably do a video tomorrow on the various different skins, right? But we'll see. But going forward, we're also going to get a few other skins as expected, but this is what I wanted to bring your focus on, and that's this new Jean-Qui Bob Ross skin, right? This is actually going to be free for anybody that has Amazon Prime Gaming. We should be able to get this skin free to us at the end of this month, so keep an eye out for that, and I'll try to remember to remind everyone about it, because this is definitely one you're probably going to want to get, right? Because like I said, Bob Ross unfortunately is deceased, so who knows if this skin will ever become available in the future. Okay, so moving on, like I said, this 9.5 update is going live May 17th, and that's going to include the Slipknot event, the Blast from the Past Battle Pass, what they're calling Smite Night, and the new Heavenly Light skins. And then on the 31st, we're going to get that 9.5 bonus update. So, you know, more to come on that. Okay, so the first thing that I want to bring your attention to is the Slipknot event. So the Slipknot themed type skins are not in a battle pass. They are not the new battle pass. They're coming at us and something they're calling the Slipknot event. Now, I don't really know the mechanics of how this event is going to be held. I don't think they really explained it very well in their 9.5 reveal, to tell you the truth. So what they're saying here, the format of it is going to be, the event is going to take form of a single chest with all Slipknot skins in it and cosmetic bundles contained within, right? So unlocking chests, and how you unlock them, I don't know, but unlocking chests will earn you progress to your choice of you know, a choice roll, chest roll, where players can select any item from the chest that they want. And by reading this, it looks like for every 3 rolls you get of these chests, you can select, you know, what you want, but on the 4th one, it's going to be random. So it's going to be 3 player select with the 4th random is what it's looking like. And it's saying that all skins in the chest will also be available for direct purchase if you want them, right? And all Slipknot items will be discontinued. Oh, I'm sorry, discounted for the first 2 weeks. You know how the first 2 weeks they always have these battle passes or these various different theme events or these new chests. They discount them by X amount. So yeah, so the Slipknot chests are going to be on sale pretty much for the first 2 weeks that they're out. And then it says, you know, unlock any 3 Slipknot items from any combination of chest rolls or direct purchase to unlock the Slipknot music theme. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then it talks about the various different skins, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here we go into the Battle Pass, right? So this Battle Pass is going to be very unique in the sense that it's going to give players that probably weren't around prior to the Battle Passes before 2022 to get certain skins that they could only have gotten through those battle passes. So the battle pass that they're going to have in this new update is going to allow you to choose skins from any of the battle passes prior to 2022 that were not crossovers. So the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all those are not going to be in this battle pass. And I guess the theme of this battle pass is going to be the Trickster Loki skin, right? Or the Trickster Loki is going to be the theme there. But yeah, so they're going to have a list of the various different battle passes that you can choose from, right? Was it Too Hot for You, Darkness Falls, New Olympia, Sweet Victory? I can read all these, but it's not going to mean nothing to you, right? Until you actually see them. But again, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Monster Cat, which are two, and the Transformers, which are three of the most popular battle passes I've ever done, are not going to be incorporated in this, buffet choice of battle pass items that you can get with this upcoming battle pass. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much that. Now, another thing that I want to bring your attention to is a quality of life mechanic that they're changing, right? So, Battle Pass XP can now be purchased with favor as well as gems. So now, if if you ever were put in that situation where you're like at 45, level 45 of level 60, or level 55 of level 60, and just did not have enough time to finish out that battle pass, now you can actually have the opportunity to purchase those last few levels using either favor or gems. So that could be pretty beneficial for those that are really wanting that end skin that you get, because usually at the very end of a battle pass, and of course you still have to purchase the battle pass, right? Either the 600 gem one or the 1200 gem one, depending on where you want to start, on the battle pass. But you still have to purchase it, but now you'll still be able to finish it out with favor or gems if you can't do it manually. So that's pretty cool. That's definitely pretty cool. Okay, so moving on. We talked about that. Okay, so there's going to be some really big changes that are going into effect with this new update, right? And all the gods are going to see these changes, and what they're calling it is the time to kill changes that they're implementing. And what they're doing is they're actually beefing up the base hit points and base protections of each god, every god in Smite. So it says every single god in Smite will receive the following changes. So they're going to increase the base hit points by 40%. They'll increase base hit points per level by 5%, right? Increase base physical protections by 40%. So in doing so, they'll increase physical protections per level by 8%. So every level, you're going to get 8% more protections, no matter if you're a mage or a guardian, right? It doesn't matter. And then they increase the base magical protections by 28%. And then it says in here, increase magical protections per level by 28%, but that's a typo, dude. That's definitely a typo. Yeah, that's definitely a typo. All right, so yeah, so that's going to be very interesting. So the effects of this, so it says this selection will describe the minimum max changes for each of these shifts, right? So take into account that a mage is going to get less less hit points and less protections with this change than a guardian, right? Because a guardian actually starts off with beefier, with more hit points and more protections than a mage or an assassin. So it says right here, so at level 1, the minimum buff that we're going to see, so for a mage probably, is going to be an additional 145 hit points, whereas a guardian will probably see a buff of 209 hit points. So that's a significant upgrade, actually. That's a lot of hit points. 209 hit points to a guardian, dude. That's freaking huge. And then at level 20, you're going to see a max for a mage of 202 hit points, with a guardian probably around 304, right? And again, that's because guardians start with a higher hit point pool. So yeah, 300 additional hit points late game for a guardian is very big, man. Very big. Realistically, an extra 200 hit points to a mage might allow you to escape with that one hit point, as we always see. But realistically, dude, due to the fact that mages have such low protections, whether it be physical or magical protections, 200 hit points is really not going to affect them that much, in my opinion. Now, guardians and warriors that are usually at max protections usually have over 300 physical protection or over 300 magical protection, and an extra 300 hit points is going to be gigantic, dude. Gigantic, especially when engaging against a mage type god that's already gotten their flat pin nerfed in 9.3, and then their attack power and base power nerfed in 9.4. Now, with that said, we can make the argument in 9.5 that the decrease, that the actual physical damage in a lot of items. But as you're going to see as we go in today's video, that a lot of the items that got nerfed for physical damage is more or less going to affect tanks, to tell you the truth, heavies more than an actual ADC or hunters, or DPS, depending on what genre you're from, how old school you're from, right? So our hunters and assassins types, you know what I'm saying? The items that they use, the damage is still going to be there. So I mean, it is what it is, dude. It is what it is. Okay, so physical protections at level 1, the minimum buff. So if mages are going to get at level 1 3.4 protections, and mages, the light ones, mages, assassins, where warriors, guardians are probably going to see a higher of 9.5 in protections, right? At level 1. At max level, level 20. Mages, assassins are probably going to see a 7.4 protection, where the heavier guys are going to see an increase of 14.5 more protections, physical and magical. Again, an additional 300 and some hit points plus an additional almost 15 protections for both magical and physical is going to be huge for heavies like guardians and warriors, man. I'm telling you, man, this is going to be very interesting. Now, keep in mind, all these changes are with Conquest in mind, right? We're just in a bad situation in an arena as arena players that we get the ripple effects of this. We get the aftermath of this, the freaking craziness of it all. And I'm telling you, I foresee this, man, that mages are going to have a very, very rough time trying to bring down heavies, man. It's going to be very rough, but, we're just going to have to adapt and overcome. And I already have some ideas on how to probably get around this, and we'll speak about that later on in this video. Okay, so the magic defenses, at level 1, you're going to get an 8.65 buff for magical protection. It doesn't say max or minions, so I guess all the guys are going to get the same. So all the guys are going to get buffed 8.65 for magical protection, and at level 20, they're all going to get buffed 13.44. So everybody's going to get a little bit more magic resistance, which, like I said earlier, is probably not going to be good for mages. But, it is what it is, right? But anyway, let's go into our gods, right? So for Loki, the only thing that they changed on Loki is that Loki's laugh has been removed as an audio cue on this ability due to its inconsistency in the volume duration between skins. So in some skins it was louder, some skins it was a little softer, some skins it was delayed, some skins they didn't do it at all. So they made it where it's one size fits all across the board no matter what skin you use, right? So now it says that this ability will now have a single audio cue sound effect that shares a volume and distance modifier across all Loki skins, but with some slight adjustments depending on the theme of the skin. So, it is what it is. Nothing too big. Serket. So for Serket, her basic attacks, the third basic attack in Serket's basic attack chain now has a cleave. That is huge, dude. That is huge. I'm very interested to see how big of a cleave that's going to be. Because as you know, Kleena with her cleave, dude, she does some really ridiculous damage. So I wonder if they're going to have the same type cleave on Serket. That's going to be very interesting. Her Cobra's decreased the cooldown from 16 to 14, so that's pretty good. Last Breath decreased the pre-fire animation time from 0.2 seconds to 0.1 seconds, so they reduced the by 50%, which is pretty significant, man. It's pretty huge. I don't see too many Serket players in arena, but I think with these changes you might start seeing a little bit more, especially with the added beefiness that they're doing to the game for these assassins, because assassins really needed it, man, especially in arena. Thor is getting some really nice buffs. His telekinetic rift, or tectonic. There you go. His tectonic rift. They increase the stun duration from 1.15, 1.3, 1.45, 1.6 to 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, and 1.6. So the stun duration late game is staying the same, but early game is going to be like a fraction, of a second longer, I guess. I mean, I don't see that anybody's going to see too much of a difference with that, but it is what it is. But the Anvil of Dawn, though, they increased the base damage on this one, late game by 60, dude. That is huge. The first level you're not going to see a difference. It stayed the same at 100, but it went from 150 to 165, 200 to 230, 250 to 295. So you're already getting 45 more damage, without even finishing that out. And then from 300 to 360, dude. 60 more damage late game. That's going to be huge for him. X-Blanc or X-Blanc, how you want to call this dude. His Rising Jaguar, they increased the poison bonus damage from 30% to 40%, like he needed any other freaking buffs, right? That dude is pretty strong as is. But yeah, that Rising Jaguar getting buffed like that is really going to help him out big time to do even more damage. Rama, his infinite arrows, they decrease the mana cost from 60, 65, 70, 75, and 80 to 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60. So 20 mana late game, they decreased it. Well, that's pretty good, I guess. And then increases attack speed by 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50 to 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60. So late game, you're getting 10% more attack speed. Early game, you're getting more. Hey, you're getting 10 more attack speed across the board. It looks like. So they pretty much his infinite arrows. They increase his attack speed by 10% across the board. That's all they had to say. But it is what it is, right? His rolling assault. They decreased the mana cost of this one late game by 20. It looks like. Or actually, it looks like 20 across the board again. So I don't even know why they spell it out, dude. Just say by 20 across the board. Niza, Righteous Spirit. Increase the time before losing passive stacks from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. Dude, 2 seconds is a long time, so that's going to be pretty significant. And then her Windfire Wheels, right? Increase protections gained after landing from 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 to 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So by 10 late game. 10 early game, 10 across the board again. I don't even want to just say by 10 across the board, dude. Hercules, his Earthbreaker, decreased the cooldown from 14 seconds to 14, 13.5, 13, 12.5, and 12 seconds. So they decreased it by 2 seconds late game. That's going to be pretty OP for freaking Hercules to be able to get that yeet, a lot more late game. So that's going to be nasty. Terra, Force of Nature, decreased the cooldown from 15 to 13. Monolith, they decreased the mana cost from 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100 to 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. So 20 late game on that one. Yeah, whatever. Savannas, increased the cooldown reduction provided by picking up seeds from 0.5 to from 0.25 to 0.5 of a second of cooldown, right? So that's pretty cool, man. So you went from a quarter of a second of cooldown every time you pick up an item to a half a second of cooldown when you pick up an item. So for every 2 of these seeds you pick up, that's 1 second cooldown. That's going to be pretty huge, man. That's definitely going to be pretty huge. Baba Yaga. Her Baba's Brew decreased the cooldown from 14 seconds to 12 seconds at all ranks. That is huge, dude. That's huge. 2 seconds in arena is a lifetime. So that is a very big buff for Baba Yaga. Okay, Pele. Pyroclast. For this, increase the physical power scaling from 60% to 70%. A 10% increase in power scaling. That's huge, dude. That's really big. So that's really good for her. A set, Dispel Magic. Decrease the magical protection debuff from 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30% to 10, 12.5, 15, 17.5, and 20%. So decrease it by 10% late game for the debuff. Yeah, it is what it is. That's probably, and that goes into, if they kept it, decreased magical protections by 10 with all the freaking nerfs that they're already doing to mages, that would just made it so OP, dude. So they had to decrease it. They had to. Gilgamesh is actually getting hit again. That's surprising. So his drop kick, they decreased the physical power scaling of kick damage from 40% to 30%. Holy crap, dude. They took 10% power scaling, oh my lord, and decreased physical power scaling of burst damage from 40% to 30%. An additional 10% for this guy. Ooh, that's gonna hit hard, dude. Because if think about this: 10% less power scaling with 300 and some plus more hit points, plus almost 15% more percentage in protections for physical. Yeah, that's going to be nasty, dude. So Heroes Advance, they decrease the movement speed from 25, 27.5, 30, 32.5, 35 to 25 across the board of Heroes Advance. So now it's just going to be 25 across the board. Arctio. So Decompose, they decrease the max stacks you can get from Decompose from 8 to 6. Her Energy Surge, or Malprey, right? Increase cooldown of both forms from 12 seconds to 15, 14.5, 14, 13.5, and 13 seconds. So they increased it 1 second late. Actually, they increased it by 2 second early game, which is humongous, dude. Adding 2 seconds is going to be, you're going to feel that one. And there's going to be 1 second late game. Decreased base damage of Malprey for from 40, 70, 100, 130, 160 to 35, 65, 95, 125, and 155 per hit. So it's going to be a 2. Remember, it's a 2 hit. So they decreased it by 5 points. I'm sorry, 5 points late game. It looks like 5 points across the board, to tell you the truth. So I don't even know why they just didn't say they decreased it by 5 hit points across the board, or 5 damage across the board. Kalina, her Tearing the Veil, right, or her ult. They increased the cooldown of it from 10 seconds to 60 seconds per charge. So you know how you can cast it twice if it's up twice. So they decreased it, by 10 seconds. They increased the cooldown of it by 10 seconds per. And then decreased the basic rift damage from 80, 120, 160, 200, and 240 to 60, 95, 130, 165, and 200. So 40 damage per tick late game. That's going to be huge, man. That's going to be a pretty big damage reduction for that ult, especially when you take in consideration all the other buffs they did for the base stats of these gods. That's going to be a serious nerf for Kalina, I do believe. Zeus. So they decided to touch Zeus a little bit further. But to tell you the truth, the Chain Lightning here, they increased the cooldown from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. If I remember correctly, his shield already had a higher cooldown than his lightning bolt, and I did always find myself having to wait on my shield to come off cooldown so I can take advantage of that 2-1 combo with him. So increasing his Chain Lightning by 2 seconds, I do not think it's going to affect Zeus players too much, especially if you play like my play style, right? If you play like the way I do, using that 2-1 combo, I do not think is going to affect us too much, but we're going to have to wait and see. Now, something that is going to affect us that I'm kind of saddened to see is that they decreased the movement speed from when he throws his shield, right? So when he throws his shield, you know how he gets that movement speed and attack speed buff? So they reduced that by pretty much what looks like 5 across the board again on this one. Late game's going from 30% to 25%. That sucks, but that's another reason why I enjoy starting with that Bracer of Brilliance, to give them that added movement speed. And starting with that Bracer of Brilliance for my playstyle, the way I play Zeus, is going to be even more important to start with that Bracer of Brilliance because of this. And then they decrease attack speed late game from 40 to 35, and it looks like they decreased this by 5 across the board on all those. So yeah, man. That's pretty much it for the gods. Okay, so let's get into the actual items, right? So as y'all know, in 9.3, they pretty much nerfed Pin. In 9.4, they nerfed a lot of the magical damage type items, right? So what they ended up doing with this 9.5 update is they actually went in and started to mess with hybrid type items, decreasing physical power or physical protections from them. And stage 2 or T2 of the Tower Shield, which is pretty much the second level of most of the shield trees, decreased the physical power from 20 to 15 at level 2, right? Now Berserker Shield actually got touched again, dude. They decreased the physical power from 25 to 20 and decreased the physical protections from 50 to 40. Now, if you remember correctly, in the last update, they actually ended up decreasing the physical power from 30 to 25, and they decreased the physical power protection from 60 to 50. And that was in the 9.4 bonus update, right? So realistically, it went from 30 to 20, and from 60 to 40 now. So you're pretty much lost about 10 power, attack power from Berserker Shield in the last 2 patches, and you lost 20 freaking physical protections in the last 2 patches. So Berserker Shield took a huge hit in the last 2 patches. Shifter Shield, to decrease the physical power from 30 to 25, and to decrease the physical power, from 30 to 25 on the passive. Okay, so I guess the actual power and the passive both got nerfed. Gladiator Shield. So for Gladiator Shield, decrease the physical power from 25 to 20. Void Shield, decrease the physical protections from 45 to 35. So the decrease actual protections on Void Shield. Runic Shield, to decrease the physical power from 35 to 30. Tyrannical, or however you say that, decrease the physical power from 40 to 35. Catechist's Shield, they decreased the physical power from 25 to 20 on this one. And in 9.4, I believe that they decreased the protections on this one. Decreased physical protections from 35 to 40 and magical. So they decreased in 9.4 bonus, they decreased the protections by 5. And in 9.5, they ended up decreasing the physical power from 25 to 20. Ooh. Frostbane Hammer, decrease the physical power from 35 to 20. Dude, that sucks. As it is now, this is kind of a niche type item, and not too many people really use it stream in arena, right? And reducing that by 10 physical power, dude, that's just gonna decrease the amount of people that are going to use this item, I believe, man. Especially when you take in consideration that they also decrease the physical power from the Ruinforged Hammer. Because usually there's I believe it was Artemis and a couple other guys that they use. A lot of people like using those two in conjunction, right? They use that slow from that Frostbane, and then they use that Ruinforged Hammer to either get a bonus damage, like in an Artemis case, or just to increase their damage with other gods. By taking advantage of that slowing effect, right? So I don't know, man. I think you might see less and less of these Frostbane and Ruinforged type combos builds on players. Now the Sledge, the decrease of physical power from 40 to 35. That really sucks, dude. Because I really like the Sledge. Because the Sledge gives you some really nice defenses, but not at the cost of losing too much attack power. The Sledge is actually one of the items that I like using on a lot of my assassins or warriors when I'm first learning to use them. I kind of use the Sledge as training wheels, right? Because like I said, it gives me that still damage, so I'm still getting that attack power, so I'm still able to hit decently, but not at the cost of not having any defenses. So that's the perfect item that I like using for gods as I'm learning them, or melee type gods as I'm learning them. They're usually sitting ducks, right? Blackthorne's Hammer, decrease the physical power from this one from 30 to 25. Wow. This one I believe got nerfed not too long ago, and now it's getting nerfed again, which is eesh. Celestial Legion Helm, decrease the magical power from 70 to 55. Holy crap, dude. That's a 15 magical power reduction on this item. Eesh, that's pretty significant, dude. Lotus Crown, decrease the physical protections from 60 to 50. Oh, man. Emperor's Crown. They just nerfed this item not too long ago. It used to actually have 400 hit points on it, 400 health, and now they decreased it from 400 down to 300 pretty much. So they went from 350, which it was currently, to 300, but not too long ago it was at 400. And I can't remember what patch it was. I want to say it was 9.4, but I'm not sure. But I know it was recent, because this is one of the items that I started using in some of my tank builds. Because it worked out really nice. You still got magic power with a high hit point, high hit point addition to it. a bonus to using this item. So I mean, it is what it is. So like I said, they're decreasing the magic power on it by 10 and decreasing another 50 points on this item, which really sucks, dude. Really sucks. Tyrannical plate helm decreased magical power from 85 to 70. So they decreased 15 on this one. This is another item that's very unique in the fact that you get some really nice protections, but you also get attack power with it. And it kind of sucks. This is one of those niche type items that you can actually slip into certain builds, especially like a warrior or a guardian type build. I mean, the passive really doesn't matter. I just enjoyed the fact that you got attack power with protection. So yeah, that kind of sucks. Voidstone, dude, this one just got nerfed not too long ago too, and they're adding even more nerf to it, decreasing the health from 250 to 200 and decreasing the magical protections of this item from 60 to 50. Now I'm starting to see a theme here. A lot of these items that we're seeing where they're reducing the health on these items are items that you normally would see on a heavy type offensive heavy, right? So a tank that you're trying to build heavy, but still have some type of a damage with them, right? So by looking at this, what they're trying, and this is just me, putting my tinfoil hat on, right? But it looks like what they're trying to do is trying to keep heavies from doing damage and just playing the tank role, right? Pretty much the pinata role. And that's what it's looking like here, man. But it is what it is. So they decrease the magical health of this item to 250 to 200, right? And then decrease the magical protections from 60 to 50. So yeah, man. So it looks like a lot of our heavies are going to have to start, depending on how much damage they take, start investing in more hit point boosting type items, man. Because some of the ones that we normally use that has, debuffs on them as passives or has damage on them, they're reducing the health that you get from them, so they're making them a little less, desirable. But people are still going to use Voidstone because it's a very, very good item, especially in Arena. But it is what it is. Okay, moving on. Stone of Fall. Decreased health from 200 to 150. This was another one that was really strong at one time that they keep beating down. Stone of Binding. Decrease the magical power from 30 to 25. Decrease physical protections from 35 to 30. Decrease magical protections from 35 to 30. So those are some huge nerfs for Stone of Binding. Now, Spell of Focus. So pretty much your level 2 to your what the crap is it called? Voidstone. So what it is, they added that 5% back at tier 2, right? And then your Warrior's Bane, they added what is this, Executioner's Axe, I think it's called. They added the 5% physical penetration to this one at level 2. It's on your axe branch or tree, I should say. But yeah, man, that's pretty much everything we have for the 9.5 update. Now, hopefully I didn't ramble on too much, but look, here's my final thoughts on this, dude. Everything that we know about Arena to this, all of our experiences on, what we feel constitutes our build was good or not. Like for me, for mages, right? My player damage, my minion damage, obviously you're doing clear, but player damage and kills pretty much dictated to me if I was doing well or not with my mages. So my Zeus, if I have a 45 or 50,000 player damage game with Zeus, that was a good game for me. If I had 14, 20 kills with Zeus, that was a good game for me, right? But now with all these changes, it's going to kind of be a false positive. So keep that in mind, right? With Guardians, Warriors getting more hit points on them. And actually all gods get more hit points in their base, right? But more importantly, Guardians, because they're going to have that extra 300, right? That's going to allow gods to stay out in Arena longer without having to back. So the combination with the nerfs to pin, the nerfs to attack power, the buffs to hit points, the buffs to base percentages, right? That's all going to come into one big freaking D-Day for us, right? So again, that's going to allow gods to stay in Arena a lot longer, and because of that, you're going to probably see your player damage numbers go up, because the longer that you're on the arena floor and less having to back, the more constant damage you're doing. So it's going to give you a false positive. So keep that in mind, right? Pretty much the only way that I'm going to be able to see or factor in if a build is good or not, I mean, we can still probably use player damage. It's just that, a 50,000 player damage or 60,000 player damage a game with a Zeus is probably going to be the norm. You know what I'm saying? What used to be 20,000 player damage is now going to be 40,000 player damage as an average, maybe. I don't know. So it's going to take time to see what a high player damage game with Zeus is going to be. And I'm just using Zeus as an example because he's probably one of the guys I can do the most damage with, right? But it's going to take time for us to see what that ceiling cap is that dictates a high player game or high player damage game and what constitutes an average player damage game, right? So keep that in mind. So don't get too happy if you see yourself doing 40,000 player damage with a Zeus or a Kukulkan or something, because realistically today's 40 could be yesterday's 20 with all these various different changes. So keep that in mind. And obviously one of the biggest factors that we're going to be able to judge whether a build is good or not is how many kills you get. If you can get really good amount of kills with a certain, on average, with a certain build, obviously it's going to be a good build, right? Of course, you got to take in consideration what god you're playing, right? If you're playing an Invis type sneak god that and you play him as a cleanup squad, it's going to be different playing a blunt force attack type god, like your warriors, or maybe even your blunt force burst damage gods like a Zeus Kukulkan type, right? So keep that in mind. So there's going to be some huge transitions to our mindsets as we roll out these new updates. So please keep that in mind. The last thing I want is people to be like, oh man, this build is awesome, dude. I'm getting like 30,000 player damage. And it's like, dude, that 30,000 player damage was yesterday's 15,000 player damage. You might need to tweak a thing or two, right? But it is again. But hey, man, that's the 9.5 update. Again, there's a lot that went into this. So make sure that, we just take everything with a grain of salt and we'll just roll with the punches, man. I'm sure that they're going to adjust on the fly as we start seeing the ripple effects or the aftermath of these changes. So try not to get too frustrated. And again, I'm going to wait until Tuesday to actually play this in real life. The PTS goes live this weekend, so I'll try to test some things out against bots, I guess. But the real test is going to come into effect once this thing goes live Tuesday, May 17th. So again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I'm Dark Garza, your OG on the GC. See you next time.